Correct, as it is going to be Arena Game 3 in Round 5 for the Empire Collective Cup between Juan and the Viper. It looks like we're going to see some Turks versus Aztecs, so I'm already excited to see how this game turns out.
Yeah, should be a nice one. And of course, Viper here choosing the Turks, which is arguably the much stronger civilization in this matchup. I think we've seen a whole bunch of Turks versus Aztecs so far this tournament, and I think the Turks have a 100% win rate right now. So even though Juan here, down to the south of the map in the purple, is playing as the Aztecs, this is his home map, and I kind of get the feeling like he was really hoping Viper would not be picking the Turks this time around.
Yeah, I think that certainly caught him off guard, and part of the reason why it did is that the Empire Collective Cup is played on the Hidden Civilization setting, so neither player knows each other's civ pick until the game begins, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Juan responds to this, as traditionally, like you mentioned, this is not something that the Aztecs like dealing with. Could you tell us a little bit more about why this matchup is historically unfavored for the Aztecs?
Okay, well, basically, the Turks are incredibly strong with a particular strategy, and it's not the fast Imperial, it's the fast castle, followed by a castle drop and Janissaries. The Janissaries are insane, and the reason they are so good is because not only do they have like incredibly high attack, but they counter the Aztecs pretty well. The Aztecs, their general kind of meta game is to go and take the relics. They want to grab the relics, take that relic advantage. They want Castle Age map control. And against the Turks, they don't really get that. The Janissaries are so good. They will kill mangonels so very fast. They will kill monks incredibly quickly. And they will also kill eagle warriors pretty quickly as well. So it's tough for the Aztecs. And I think they can beat the Turks. I just think they have to go away from what they are used to and get out of the metagame a little bit.
Yeah, perhaps the best response would be something like Crossman against the Janissaries, but we'll have to see what Juan's game plan is, as he's going to be using a scout here, luring in those deer to try and give him an early game eco boost, and considering that it's a map like Arena, both players here will be thinking about, Castle Age aggression rather than something in the Feudal or Dark Age usually, so we can expect both players going for a fast castle, getting a huge economy, and then the action will pick up in the Castle Age.
Yes, definitely. Big thank you as well to Nuclei, who donated $15. He said, "Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for all your hard work. Much appreciated." Sorry I missed that earlier on. I think it was like nearly an hour ago when he sent that. I just didn't see it. So my apologies. If you're still out there, Nuclei, we appreciate that very much. But yes.
We certainly do.
Obviously, there will be a build-up now through the Feudal Age, and as with any water map, it's all about efficiency, it's all about the effectiveness of your Dark Age, and making sure you take those deer, taking the time here, as you can see Viper on the left side, pushing, or attempting to push them in through his broken wall piece, and same for Juan as well, breaking his wall, luring in those deer, just because you need every scrap of food you can get, to be as effective as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And when it comes to a castle drop, there are a lot of interesting things to note. A huge chunk of what can make a castle drop so very strong is if your opponent's map has a lot of their gold and stone mines, a lot of important resources towards the front side of their walls, because that's where you'll be building the castle, and that castle can zone them off those resources. Thankfully, though, for Juan, he does indeed have, several gold mines actually in his base in a somewhat defensible location. He's got 2 at the far back. His main gold, is far back enough, so it's really his main. He has 2 stone mines that are heavily threatened by a castle drop, so if the Viper puts it there, then Juan doesn't get either of those stones, and maybe even not that relic either. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the Viper drops that castle if he goes for that strategy.
Yeah, if he does do that strategy. I think it's pretty likely that he will. I kind of get the feeling he might even put it just defensively. It's very risky doing a castle drop against the Aztecs, I think, because if the Aztecs have a faster castle time, which they probably will, and if they are able to get a monk out fast enough, then they're going to be able to stop the castle drop because they can just convert the villagers building it. So I think Viper's more likely to put it in a kind of defensive position, probably on the front of his base to cover the stone and gold. Now I feel like the Aztecs, they always play so rigidly when they play Arena. They tend to always go for, this fast castle into monks, into, barracks, making eagles and monasteries to make monks. But when we saw Viper play this not that long ago, as the Aztecs, Viper did a castle drop as well, and it's something you don't see the Aztecs typically do, but something I think will actually work in this game. Imagine now if Juan was to drop a castle in his base to cover his stone and his gold, he could basically stop the Viper from pushing in with his Janissaries, because they'd be no good in that situation. He could stop a Mangonel pushing in and cleaning everything out, because a castle would stop that. And although it's unlikely for the Aztecs to do it, I feel like it could legitimately work out, and something worth considering, but I just don't think we'll see that because the metagame for the Aztecs is so strong.
Yeah, I think that both players do have a reasonable amount of options, and a castle is so very hard to take down in the Castle Age without, like, mass battering rams, and that can be very harsh on the Turks. Already a little bit shaky economy. Getting to the Imperial Age and making trebs is one of the best ways to deal with a defensive castle, so that could stop the Viper in his tracks. And one thing that will probably make Juan go for that standard early game monastery play, or at least encourage it, is that he has 3 relics so very close to his base. He has 2 inside of his walls and 1 just a little bit outside, so Juan might be able to build up a strong early game relic lead. And well, the Viper looks like he's setting himself up for a fast Castle Age as well, but Juan, being the Aztecs, is going to click up sooner, not only with fewer villagers, but also taking advantage of his stronger economy.
Yeah, like you say, Juan does have better relic placement. I mean, 2 of those relics are inside of his walls. But the problem comes for the Aztecs when the Janissaries could just bust your wall down so quickly. All it takes is 1 petard, a few Janissaries, and you're gone. I think Juan here, hoping to do a faster castle time and try and take the relics, take map control much faster than the Viper can. And in this situation, Juan can do that. He's clicked up to the feudal age with 24 villagers, whereas Viper's clicked up on 27. And the reason for that is because, well, firstly, the Viper needs to go up to feudal on more because he needs the stone for the castle. And if he goes up with too little, he's not going to have the resources he needs. Juan, of course, can go up a little bit with less villagers because the Aztecs' economy is so very good. Their villagers are obviously more effective due to their bigger villager carry capacity. And Juan here with a blazing fast castle time. This is like super fast. 11 minutes, 58 seconds. He's clicked up, and Viper isn't even feudal yet.
Yeah, that is a crazy quick castle time from Juan, as right now he's poised to give himself a lead in the early Castle Age. There are already a couple things that I like from both players here, these little things that make a huge difference in Expert Age of Empires 2 games. Notice how the Viper does not take the stone at the front of his base. Why? Because if Juan swings by with his scout, he can see that, and that reveals the Viper's strategy. You wouldn't need to be mining stone this early on unless you were thinking about a castle, so the fact that the Viper taking stone at the back of his base doesn't reveal his game plan to Juan, even though Juan's probably expecting it, and he's going to be covering up the hole in his wall with his blacksmith and house. That way it's a little bit harder for the Viper to push in, as now he's clicked up.
Yeah, Viper just clicking up there. Thank you very much, Rancor, for resubscribing as well. Much appreciated. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Warlord Warlords. But at the moment, Juan is in a very strong position. Obviously, Viper here going up with 3 extra villagers, so whilst he upgrades to the Castle Age, his economy is going to be ticking over a little bit more effectively than Juan. But bear in mind here, Viper 7 villagers on stone, whereas Juan's economy is more focused on the gold. You see all of those villagers there, 3, 6, 9 villagers on gold. It's pretty, well, that's pretty, indicative of what he's going to do. That will be either a barracks and a monastery, or it's going to be, 2 monasteries, maybe even 3 monasteries. But the problem I always see with monks here is they just don't work against Janissaries. Janissaries have 8 range, the monks have 9. Janissaries will 2-shot a monk, and the monk, you've just got to get lucky, I feel. Like, you've got to pray to RNGesus that your monks will convert the Janissaries before they die in that split second.
Yeah, monks generally not the most efficient answer to Janissaries, so Juan might be struggling a little bit, but his early Castle Age will give him a hand, and maybe snagging all those relics will allow him to get some seriously good production. I like that the Viper is patrolling his scout, like, literally at the front of Juan's walls, just so he can glean as much information as he can, see if he can go scout that monastery. He can't actually see it. It's just barely out of his line of sight. First monk coming down. The Viper up to the Castle Age is putting the castle at the front to protect his forward stone and gold. Siege Workshop coming down as well. the Viper getting ready to start making some Janissaries.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really high aggression play from Viper here. It's going to be, his second TC is going to be very delayed in this situation. And of course, getting that castle up as fast as he can. Siege Workshop to support it. Perhaps, Mangonels or even Rams to try and break down these walls. Whatever he decides to do. And in the meantime, Juan here going to be trying to grab as many relics as he can. But a nice advantage for the Turks as well. And this is one that I feel is always forgotten about, and indeed I've forgotten about it until I saw that light cavalry there, is of course they get the light cavalry and the hussar upgrade for free. And what is a naturally very strong counter to monks? Light cavalry. It's just so good.
Yeah, that could be a very efficient transition for the Viper later if he decides to do this. Another important thing to note that I didn't get a chance to is that Juan has been making use of his market, whereas the Viper hasn't done that yet. Juan has actually sold 100 of his stone, and then he bought 100 stone, and he bought 200 food. So, in this early stage of the game, doing something like that can certainly weaken your economy. It gives you a little bit of short-term resources, but, you don't trade one for one. And Juan moving, having to actually back up with his Eagle Warrior and his Monk as the Janissary is coming in with a battering ram at the front, the Viper getting ready to try and breach these walls.
Yeah, I think what Viper needs here is a Petard, though, to be honest with you. I think a Ram is pretty slow. But I think, what Juan needs is he needs to convert Siege. He needs to be able to convert some Janissaries. And, I'm really rooting for Juan here because I want to see an Aztec player beat the Turks on this map. It's just so hard and so unlikely as Viper comes in with his 4 Janissaries, sending more and more over. And you really don't need many Janissaries to be effective, really, as well. And that's the difficult thing here for Juan. Viper doesn't need many Janissaries because just 2 or 3 is enough to kill like everything. But Viper gonna back up as those monks come forwards to try and keep the blacksmith away. Keep that blacksmith alive for as long as possible and buy himself a little more time. Third monastery going up for Juan.
Yeah, even with 3 relics for Juan, he's still in deep trouble, and part of the reason why Janissaries are so good against monks is due to their low hit points. And that's why Juan trying to snag as many monk upgrades as he can, getting Sanctity, and then with that Aztec bonus that's going to give him a whopping 20 bonus HP. Selling all of that stone, though, versus the Turks might not have been wise, especially considering that Juan's, both of his stone mines are forward, so he had to actually buy the stone back. He's putting down a siege workshop because he wants mangonels of his own, and Juan gonna have to back up a little bit. That town center at the front is perhaps a little bit risky, and, well, with 3 relics, 3 monasteries, that might not be enough.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for Juan because this is the kind of situation where the Turks just dominate, and I guess, Viper here coming in getting a quick kill, and he'll go straight for that monastery on the left side as well. And my main concern here for for Juan is that if he gets a Mangonel out, it's so easily destroyed by the Janissaries. Now, you've got to bear in mind the flip side of this is that if Viper can't do enough damage fast enough, then, he is sacrificing a lot. His eco is in tatters at the moment. It's really not too strong, whereas Juan's eco is arguably a little better off. But as he loses the relics now, he loses a substantial amount of gold income. And Juan just keeping those monks coming out, redemption and fervor being researched, and he's just going to hold out, and try and make this work with a big push when he gets the monks out that he needs.
Yep, and redemption might be his ticket out of this terrible situation, as it will allow him to convert some siege weapons, and ooh, that Mangonel is going to get shot down. That's quite unfortunate. If there is a game where the Aztecs certainly have a chance, it might be this one, as Juan does indeed have another gold at the back. The way his map is structured, he might be able to hold this, but those monks just getting gunned down, like you said, the Janissaries with such high attack. The Viper still mining stone, is going to be building a forward castle here, and Juan in terrible shape.
Juan just can't do enough damage. The monks just don't work. And even though he converted one of those Mangonels, and maybe he'll try and convert yet another, Juan here is pushed right back. He's going to lose so many villagers as these Janissaries push in, and he simply cannot get the conversions he needs. That castle drop from Viper there going to be devastating as well, as it's going to immediately pressure the town center on the left-hand side. And Juan, how many villagers is he losing right now? Quite a few, but he is still ahead in villager count by 10. So perhaps it's not as bad as it at first seems for Juan right now, as he goes for some more Janissary conversions here.
Yeah, Juan not completely dead yet, but that forward castle certainly makes it a lot worse for him, as all those villagers gonna have to back away here. Step back a little bit, but the Viper actually running out of Janissaries. He will be able to kill a town center, do a lot of eco damage. Juan still clinging to life. Another monastery, and another, so grand total of 4.
Wow.
He's still sticking to this monk approach, and maybe with the 60 HP that's enough. We'll have to see. Can he get that conversion on the Mangonel?
He's got to convert the Mangonel. He has to convert the Mangonel, but he's being baited into the Janissaries. But he's got 2 Janissaries still. If he can convert a couple more, maybe Juan can just make this work. Viper taking the stone, Juan's stone on that left-hand side. Looks like Viper might be going for a 3rd castle drop fairly soon as well. But yeah, I mean, Juan doing very well so far. And bear in mind, the Aztec monks as well do get a power up, their unique bonus, giving them extra 5 HP for every tech that they research. So they're currently sitting on 60 HP, sorry. But just not getting enough conversions, and they're all being flattened as the Mangonel gets converted here, which is at least something. Will he fire enough? Oh, huge shot. Great play by Juan right there. So lucky as well. So very lucky.
Yeah, converting that Mangonel is maybe perhaps the break he needed. One of the reasons why this strategy is so strong too is that there's just not a very clean answer to the Janissaries. There are a lot of like okay answers. Like Mangonels are a reasonable response, but the Janissaries have just enough HP that the Mangonels can't quite take them out very easily. And Juan gonna be moving up with this battering ram. I like that the Viper is putting down the forward monastery. He would like those 3 relics if he can. And well, right now, Juan clinging on to life is going to be building a siege workshop, and he's not dead yet.
I think that Juan can win this game. I think it's possible. Viper's eco is horrendous. He's down. He's at 47 vills. He's not made a villager for the last 3 or 4 minutes here as he piles everything he's got into Janissary production. And it seems like Juan may just be able to hold this off. But Viper's about to drop that 3rd castle, and if that goes up on the main gold of Juan, I'm going to be worried, because Viper's walled up the gold on the right side, and Juan's other option, of course, is at the back of the map, but I'm questioning whether he scouted that, and he has not. Worrying times ahead.
Indeed, this game is shaping up to be quite tense for both players, as the Viper acknowledging that there is a chance that Juan holds this line, and that's why he's going to be laming the gold with those stone walls. Battering ram moving forward, another castle coming down for the Viper. He's running into the issue where he's not able to get out enough Janissaries on only like 1 town center, so
yeah.
His army count is kind of small, and Juan able to convert all of those, come in with some battering rams. Oh, it's gonna be close.
This is so tense. Juan, look at that. 4 battering rams queued up here. He's going to try and ram rush these castles, and if he can keep these monks alive, and if he can get the conversions he needs, Juan can legitimately do this. Look at this. He's repairing the ram on the right side with those 3 villagers, and that castle already on fire here as Juan tries to send more and more rams forward. Of course, though, against Janissaries, against another castle at the back, it's gonna be tough, but Juan is still in it. Look at those resources. 800 food and 600 gold. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad.
Well, this is about as good as Juan could have hoped, but still, things looking really shaky, as there are a lot of Janissaries for the Viper. He did get a chance to replenish his army supply, and this castle, it's going to be really difficult to take that down. The Viper going to be building a forward siege workshop so he can get some Mangonels to go clear out those rams further, and another part of what makes this strategy so powerful is the Janissaries hand cannoneers have a tiny attack bonus versus rams, so they can take it down a little quicker. And Juan, stockpiling resources. I was wondering what for. He's thinking about the Imperial Age. Perhaps that will be enough, but it's looking a little shaky.
He has thought about it, and he has done it. Juan here going up to Imperial. It's interesting because this is the first time I think I've seen a player go to Imp in this situation so far this tournament. Juan, though, really wishing he had the gold right now. Oh, I actually didn't realize he has got a gold in the back of his base as well. He's got the one that he hasn't found, but he also has one within his walls, which I didn't notice earlier on. Perhaps just keeping his head above water. He's going to try and get some more conversions. It's going to be tough. He'll get 2 or 3. Is it going to be enough? Probably not. But Juan going up to Imperial, and no, it's just not enough. He's calling GG.
Yeah, perhaps a little premature to go in with those monks, but Juan a little bit desperate. This a match just goes to show the value of making sure you scout every nook and cranny on Arena, because there was another gold mine back there that Juan might have needed eventually. And well, it looks like the Viper is going to clinch this one with a very, very aggressive Janissary push, and Juan almost able to hold the line, but not quite.
Yeah, I'm disappointed, to be honest with you. I'm disappointed because I really think Juan had a shot at doing that. It's so difficult, though, isn't it? It's just so difficult to win in the face of those castles and those Janissaries. And like we said, you know, right at the start of this game, the monks, they just don't quite have enough to do, you know, they just don't quite have what it takes to counter these Janissaries, to stop these Janissaries pushing in. And I think Juan's plan there would have probably been to go for capped ram and take these castles down. Maybe he could have made that work out, but after losing all those monks on that left-hand side, there was no way he would have stopped those Janissaries, and I think Viper, you know, just in a much stronger position.
Yeah, all Juan needed to do was get to the Imperial Age and plop out some trebs, but he couldn't because both of his stones were at the front, and the Viper recognizing that, pressuring that, just surrounding those in castles, denying Juan that stone, denying him the easy answer with trebuchets, and as a result, the Viper able to clinch that game. It's difficult to know for sure what Juan could have done earlier on to deal with that. Perhaps crossbows were the answer, as they are a reasonably good one. Difficult to say. Juan did have a lot of stockpiled resources, but in the end, he just wasn't able to get enough units. And we're going to be jumping straight into the final game in just a moment. In the meantime,